Channel Your Sexual Energy, posted on November 12, 2011. The intensity of sexual energy cannot be matched with any emotion known to humans. The force instigated by sexual energy can override even the most intense fears in a human. There is enough evidence to suggest that humans can undertake some extremely risky behaviors under the influence of this energy, which they would not dream of doing if they weren't taken up by it. No other force has the power to inject the amount of courage, fearlessness, imagination, impetus, motivation, and creativity that the force of sexual energy has. This is one reason why sex is the most sought-after activity by humans, and why sex is the major topic of discussion in all spiritual and religious literatures. But if sex or sexual activities is the only means into which you channel your sexual energy, you're losing out on realizing the full potential of this energy in you. In fact, overindulgence in sexual activities is usually a lopsided behavior found in humans who fail to develop the conscious channeling of this energy into their creative expression, personal power, and well-being. Containing the sexual energy. You should be able to contain the sexual energy before you're able to channel it. It's like containing the water behind a dam so that it can be channeled into more useful pursuits. In the absence of a dam that contains this water, the water just flows chaotically, serving no useful purpose. A stability is required in your being before you can contain the strong energy in your space. This stability is arrived at as you allow yourself to rest in the space of awareness, without being taken in by the constant flux of the mind activities. It's like being rooted in the depth of an ocean so that you're not affected so much by the waves on the surfaces. Once you've developed this stability in your being, it's easy to contain even the strongest surges of sexual energy without being taken in by it completely. The most normal human reaction to a surge of sexual energy in them is to immediately expend it via some sexual activity. One reason for this behavior is that you find it difficult to contain such a huge surge of energy and find it a relief to expel it through the release of a sexual activity. This behavior is an indication that you're quite helpless and powerless in front of this energy which seems to drive you rather than you channeling it the way you want. Also, a lot of people try to suppress the sexual energy in them, especially people who have misplaced spiritual beliefs, out of guilt or fear, which ends up creating resistances to the natural flow of life energy in them. This is another extreme of being powerless to your sexuality because now you fear it. A lot of men and women have committed sexual acts in the impulse of the moment, under the influence of the strong sex drive within them, which they later regret, sometimes even for a lifetime. Some terrible violent acts of force have been perpetrated by humans who got unconsciously pulled into the strong force of their sex drive, which blocked the allowance of a wisdom in their actions. To be at the mercy of the pool of sexual energy is like being a prisoner who has no conscious freedom but acts under the whims and fancies of his or her sex drive. When there is no depth in your being, no depth in awareness, it's very difficult to contain the sexual energy that seems to take over the entire physicality. Someone who is totally identified with the mind would almost be in a daze or semi-consciousness, dragged into indulging in sexual activities as if in a stupor or drugged state. A lot of people realize how helpless they feel against the pull of their sex drive. Enjoying sexual activities is a celebration of physicality, and one should have no hang-ups about it. But when you become a prisoner to your sex drive, there's no longer a space of wisdom available in your actions, leading to overindulgence, unwise acts, restless movements, violent outbursts, and weak and non-magnetic personality. You would need to be authentic and honest within yourself to recognize if you are a prisoner to your sex drive, or if you're stable enough in your being to be able to contain the sexual energy without it playing the master. Channeling your sexual energy into creativity. The act of sex is the precursor to the creation of a new physical form. This is just an example of the creative potential of sexual energy in a physical being. If you've never consciously experienced the texture of this energy in you, just allow yourself to stay in a space of awareness the next time there is a surge of sexual energy in the body. Just stay with it without being dragged into the mind's immediate need to expel it through the release of a sexual activity. For a moment, just feel the energy as it courses through your body. Feel the pulsating strength of it. When you're able to stay in the awareness of this energy, you're basically able to contain it in your being without being dragged around by it. You will notice that this energy has the capacity to provide a sense of power within you, a sense of strength and vitality, a sense of courage, a raw sense of invincibility and heroism. No other energy known to humans has the ability to instill such a sense of power. It's important to understand, firstly, that it's not required that you release this energy through a sexual activity. Most people unconsciously believe that they must find an outlet to their sexual energy through a sexual activity. Hence, they either suppress this energy in them due to some orthodox beliefs, or try to release it as quickly as it emerges. But in truth, a completely different dynamic plays out in your physical expression when you don't release this energy through sexual activity and simply contain it, allowing it to course through your space. It develops an energy of magnetism in your being, a charisma. When you don't release this energy through a sexual activity, it will automatically channel into another creative outlet. I've listed some of them below. Sexual energy has immense healing powers and has the capacity to revitalize the organs in the body. The therapeutic powers of sexual energy are well documented in many spiritual literatures. When you contain this energy in your body, it automatically moves into bringing a healing to diseases present in the body. Containing sexual energy creates a sense of vitality and well-being in the mind, cutting through the thoughts of depression, powerlessness, or inferiority. It can create a spark of genius in your thoughts. People who study auras would tell you that sexual energy creates a very powerful positive aura in your physical being, which can be sensed by people around you as a magnetic quality in your personality. Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, had mentioned that all the influential people that he'd interviewed were ones who had strong sexual natures in them, but were also conscious enough to channel this energy into their being. Any thought that's held in the powerful presence of this sexual energy seems to attract more strongly than in the presence of any other emotion. When you don't expend sexual energy through a physical release, it seems to channel into creative actions automatically, getting things done which you might not have had the energy to do previously. The force of this sexual energy has the power to burn through resistances within you that arise from fears or phobias in the mind. It's like being under the influence of a powerful drug while also being conscious in its wake. People who develop the stability in their being to be able to contain the surge of sexual energy in them have a magnetism in their being that attracts the opposite sex. A lot of charismatic people are usually the ones who are conscious enough to channel their sexual energy into personal magnetism. As the light of awareness starts deepening in you, it will naturally touch upon the aspect of your sexuality. Any hang-ups you have about your sexuality will be brought to this light and be dissolved in its wisdom, and this will allow a free movement of sexual energy in you, which can be way more powerful than when it was moving through resistances. This free movement of sexual energy can become chaotic if not contained through the same power of awareness. So basically, once you remove the resistances within you to your sexuality, by allowing these resistances to be touched by the light of awareness, you will move to the next level of a conscious channeling of this sexual energy into creative expressions and personal power by containing it. This allows for a holistic experience which attracts well-being and abundance into your reality. You can also enjoy the experiences of sexual activity in a more conscious, passionate, and intense manner when you develop this stability in your being.